Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk. As you can tell, we're doing things a little bit differently today. But hey, it's a new year, time for New Year's resolutions, time for trying new things and doing things differently. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But yeah, Happy New Year. Welcome back to a new year, 2024. Didn't even know this year would ever exist. But we're back. My name is Kate Branch. This is Fan Talk, podcast by your favorite fan, and we are talking a lot of football today, and we're going to be saying goodbye to college football. Maybe not totally, but it's on its way out. We're down to the last game. We're going to be talking NFL as well. The Pro Bowl has been released, as well as Judgment Day is coming up for the last couple playoff spots in the NFL Week 18. We'll get to that. Fan Talk is a podcast that you can find on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Just search Kyle Brenchley and Fan Talk, and it should pop right up. I appreciate the support. We're going to keep on rolling. We're going to try this new method where we do it on my computer instead of filming it with a camera. Might be a little better. Might be just the same. Might be a little worse. We'll experiment. We'll see what will happen. All right, but before we jump into that, I want to talk about some New Year's resolutions. It's cliche. Yes, I know it is. The 4th of January, so today is Thursday, 4 days in to 2024. Have you guys kept your New Year's resolutions, or have you laid them by the wayside? I'm going to talk about some new goals for me personally as a person, but as well for the podcast moving forward, and how we will implement the good old Fan Talk show that you 40 people who watch, love, and support. All right, so for me, resolutions are interesting. Oftentimes people use resolutions as an opportunity to change their appearance, to change how they look, to change what they do, to change different things like that. And there's definitely a couple things that in 2024 that I'm looking forward to. I don't know if resolutions is quite the right word for it, but these are a couple of the things. So first, number one, I am a big runner. If you did not know that, I did an episode about the half marathon that I ran that I'll link. Back in October was my first half marathon. I ran cross country and track throughout high school and after high school as well. I've done a bunch of, like community 5Ks and different races like that after leaving high school. But I ran my first half marathon in October, and I'm looking to run that one again. I also want to run another one, maybe May, maybe June, somewhere around there to, I don't know, just do it. It's awesome. I love it. I want to get better at it. And one day I want to run a full marathon, but that just seems scary right now. That just seems like too much time. So we'll stick with the halves for now. Another New Year's resolution I got, something I'm looking forward to, is moving. I am looking to move into a new place, have a new start. I did get a new job. So new me, right? New environment. I'm excited for that, to establish myself. I'm also looking forward to reading 5 books this year. Last year I read 4. I want to read 5 this year. And I know a lot of people are getting back into reading. I honestly haven't read consistently since, junior high, 7th grade, when I was, 12, 13 years old. So yeah, that should be fun for me. I like going back and reading books that I read as a kid, like these fantasy novels or whatever. So yeah, we'll see about that. And then also, I am Rizzy boy Kyle, Kid Branch. First time we've talked about any Riz here on the Fan Talk podcast. I am going to be putting myself out there and going on a few more dates here in 2024. So those are my New Year's resolutions. That should be fun. For the podcast, what I will be doing, if this format works out, and what I'm doing again is I'm filming off the computer on a program called Riverside, and it allows me to share my tabs so you guys can see my screen, but you can also see me. If this works out in this episode, I'll continue to do this. Riverside is also kind of like Zoom. It allows people to come on and be guests. And I know I've mentioned that before in the past, to bring guests on. This last season, in season 2, it's been more practical just to do it by myself, but I'll bring more guests on. If you would like to be on the show, please let me know, of course, as always. And yeah, we'll just be continuing this, putting out more content. I know in the past I've talked about putting it on Apple Podcasts. That is a possibility as well. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, new year, new podcast. Well, same podcast, new goals. Let's get right into it. Let's talk some college football. It was some crazy games, honestly. If you sat down and watched both the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, it was wild. It was absolutely wild. So let me put myself full screen here, and and we can start going on from there. So yeah, it was absolutely wild. First game, and these games were on New Year's Day, so Happy New Year. Absolutely wild. And let's backtrack a little bit to a couple episodes. I made this video about the committee's decision to leave Florida State out. Why did they leave Florida State out? They went undefeated. They won the ACC. They beat a SEC team at the beginning of the year, and LSU, a good SEC team. Why were they left out over a 2-loss Alabama team? But ultimately, in the end, and I mentioned in that episode that obviously the committee standards hadn't been consistent. There needs to be some more clarification. The 12-team playoff, we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, for TV purposes, for viewership purposes, for money purposes, again, this is a business. They want viewers, they want consumers, they want people to buy in. The committee ultimately thought that number 4 seed Alabama would be a better opponent than a Florida State team who had lost their quarterback to a season-ending injury. And the committee was not wrong. The Rose Bowl game did not disappoint. I love the Rose Bowl game. That game is so iconic. It's so fun. Michigan, obviously, number 1 seed. They're undefeated. Takes on Alabama. And Alabama comes in, the 4 seed. And it was a good game, honestly. It was a good game. Michigan's defense played very well. Jaden Milroe played well. McClellan on Alabama played well. Alabama showed up and ultimately played a good game, and Michigan did too. Michigan was definitely challenged. There were some points in the game where I thought Alabama was going to win this game, but Michigan was very physical. Michigan was very tough. Michigan showed that they are Michigan, right? They deserve to be there, and they ultimately won in overtime on an incredible sequence. It was awesome. I loved it. The atmosphere was crazy. It would have been awesome to be there. But ultimately, they stop Alabama on 4th and goal. Michigan wins the Rose Bowl and goes on to the national championship. That was huge. And then the second game did not disappoint either. A lot of talk was around this one. Like Washington was in, but a lot of people were unsure about Texas. If Texas was going to leap, like a team like Georgia. Texas did, and that game was awesome as well. 37-31, Sugar Bowl. Washington wins this one. It was really cool because last year I was in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, and obviously the Sugar Bowl wasn't part of the college football playoff. It was a New Year's Six Bowl. It was Alabama versus Kansas State. But it was cool because I was there. I saw the Sugar Bowl parade. I saw all the K-State fans and all the Bama fans having fun down there in New Orleans, down there on Bourbon Street. Mardi Gras coming up. It was a good time. So, again, the city was flooded with purple as Washington came to town and had a good time. They win 37-31 in a close one over Texas. Michigan, Washington on Monday night, ESPN. That is the college football playoff final. Should be a good game. If I were to make a pick, I would say Michigan. I just think Michigan is insanely good. But don't count out Michael Penix Jr. That guy is a gunslinger. I'm actually hoping that he falls to the Denver Broncos in the draft, depending on kind of what happens there. But hey, a man can dream, right? A man can dream. We'll see what happens there. All right, moving on to the NFL. We'll talk more about the college football championship next week, and we'll do a wrap on the college football season. It's unfortunate, it's coming to a close. You feel like so invested from August all the way to January, and then it just ends. It's crazy being a fan. There's nothing really you can do about the product on the field or the season. All you can do is sit back and watch. So, and watch we will Monday night. All right, NFL, the Pro Bowl rosters were released yesterday for the AFC and the NFC. The 2024 Pro Bowl is happening in Orlando. kind of cool that they're playing it in a city that does not have an NFL franchise. But I think that is in part to expand the NFL's image, to put its reach outside of its markets. And I've talked about this in an early episode with the international games and how big of a success they are. But here we go with the Pro Bowl rosters reviewed. Let's do the AFC first. So they took 3 quarterbacks. They usually take 3-4 people per position, depending on the position. Fullback, they usually take 1. Kicker, they usually take 1. But for the AFC quarterback, here's the 3. I'll just share my screen with you, so that way you can follow along and don't have to just listen to my voice. It can be interactive and it can be fun. So as you can see here, Tua Tagovailoa, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. I think there's no surprise there. I will say, though, that the little asterisk is denoting the starter. So what that means is that they'll go out on the first possession and run the first possession. That's all that means. And the Pro Bowl, and it's flag football now, so it's hardly contact football at all. Yeah, it's just flag football. So there you go. Raheem Mostert getting his first call into the Pro Bowl. James Cook as well. Derrick Henry's there. Receivers, we got Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Jamar Chase. No surprises there. Travis Kelce, David Njoku, a couple tackles. I'll just kind of scroll through this to show. Defense. Shout out to Max Crosby, even though he's a Las Vegas Raider. That guy's a menace. That guy really kept Vegas in games for a lot of the season. Not even kidding. TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, Josh Allen, those guys are ballers. Roquan Swift, Patrick McQueen. My boy Pat Surtain and Justin Simmons representing the Denver Broncos, getting in there as starters as well. And then special teams, we got our kick returner, Marvin Mims from the Denver Broncos. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's take a look at the NFC. And I'll just scroll through this real quick, and then we'll look at snubs. People who got snubbed from this adult flag football game. All right, Brock Purdy, incredible season. Dak Prescott, great season. Matthew Stafford, nice bounce back season. McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Kyren Williams, incredible season for Kyren Williams. Juszczyk's always there. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Puka Nacua. What's up, my guy? George Kittle, Sam Laporta. Bunch of centers. Of course, Jason Kelce makes it. Nick Bosa, Montrezl Sweat, Aiden Hutchinson. A lot of big names. A lot of these guys you see on TV. They talk about these guys every week. Deron Bland, Charvarius Ward making plays. Jesse Bates on the Atlanta Falcons. Budda Baker. Braden Audrey, kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. What a story that is. Rashid Shaheed out of Weber State here in Utah. So there you go. Those are the rosters. You can go check those out more in detail. Again, it is just an adult flag football game. Pro Bowl has kind of lost its novelty, so that's why they're trying to get numbers back up. They're trying to be fun. Here's a couple guys that just got snubbed. You can also look at that list. Obviously, there's so many good players who ultimately just can't make the cut. So, I mean, what do you do, right? No one's ever 100% happy. They do this with the All-Star game. They do this with even my high school basketball team. They, this guy should have been on the team. This guy's only on the team because his uncle is the assistant coach and the biology teacher, whatever. But there you go. You can check out for the Pro Bowl. That is the week before Super Bowl Sunday. So that would be the weekend of February 4th, I believe. And I think they do all that on ESPN. So keep an eye out for that. All right, now let's talk about the NFC playoff picture. We have talked about this for weeks now, and we're finally down to week 18. This is truly Judgment Day for a couple teams in the NFC and the NFC. Unfortunately, the Denver Broncos, they're out. Another season not making the playoffs. The only thing I'll say about that, and I've talked about the Denver Broncos in various episodes, so go check those out. All I'll say is you got to control your own destiny. After that loss against the Patriots, they really needed a lot of teams to lose, and ultimately the Pittsburgh Steelers won. and knock them out. So really what it comes down to is you control your destiny. You win that game against the Patriots. You win against the Chargers this week. And then you come into this week with a must-win against the Raiders. You win, you're in. You just win and you're in. And then games earlier in the season, of course, those you can't control. So ultimately, the message is for teams who did not make the playoffs this year, all you can do next year is try to come back and win. So that's that. Denver Broncos are out. They do have an opportunity to play for a winning season. First time since 2016, if they win against the Raiders, to have a winning season. But as for the playoffs, they are not going to that. So let's jump over here. Let's share my screen. Let's hop to, let's go to the playoff machines. And I've referenced this before. I love using this. It's on ESPN. And essentially, you get to simulate the different scenarios for the playoffs. And they start this about, week 13 or 12, So you can play with it for about 7 weeks. So this is currently the playoff picture right now, as you guys can see. Honestly, some cool matchups if it happened today. Some notable matchups for sure. Let's start in the AFC. Buffalo and Kansas City, they've kind of butt heads over the years. And Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes, that's kind of a marquee matchup. Over here in the NFC, Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, that it would be Mike McCarthy's welcoming back his old team, Green Bay. Detroit and Los Angeles, that would be an awesome one. Detroit hosting their first playoff game in, a millennium. And welcoming back their old franchise quarterback in Matthew Stafford. That would be real fun. So kind of some fun matchups here. But let's do my NFL picks and let's do the playoff machine kind of scenario here. As I said, there are a few teams that need to get in. So as those games come up, I will mention them. The first one on the list is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers are interesting. They can win this game and get in. They can also lose this game and get in, depending on what other people do. Not a bad position to be in, honestly. And Mike Tomlin, he's incredible. He's got them in another winning season, and he's got them in a really good position to make the playoffs, depending on what kind of cards fall. So, but as for me, they are playing a Tyler Huntley Baltimore Ravens team. This Ravens team is good. I don't think it's only Lamar Jackson. Their defense is obviously supreme. All those guys on the Pro Bowl roster, a lot of them were Baltimore Ravens. So give me the Ravens in this one at home. Does not eliminate the Steelers, though. Saturday night, huge game. Houston Texans at Indianapolis Colts. This game will ultimately decide who gets in and who goes home. Winner gets in. Loser looks on to next season. Both teams surpassed expectations this year. They should take a bow. Houston at Indianapolis. I'm taking Houston in this one. I like CJ Stroud to lead them to a victory. Colts are a good team, but ultimately their defense is their weakness. CJ Stroud will cut them apart. It'll be a close one. They will win this one, and he's leading them to the playoffs for the first time. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Panthers. This game is a little less important. Tampa Bay obviously needs to win to get in. And if they do, and I think they will beat the Panthers. They will be 9-8, and they will be in that 4th seed and win the NFC South. Browns at Bengals. I should say this week there is a lot of backup quarterbacks starting. I don't even have the full list because there's so many. But the Browns are rolling with Jeff Driscoll. He played for the Broncos 3 seasons ago. He filled in. He was like QB3 or something like that. So he'll be starting for the Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game that, the Browns don't really need to win. I don't think they'll win. I think the Bengals will win their last game of the year. A little consolation prize. Move on to next postseason because they have been eliminated as well. Vikings at Lions. I think the Lions win this one. The Lions aren't giving up. They want as high seed as possible. With that win over Minnesota, Minnesota will be out of playoff contention. Jets at Patriots. This is a no-name game. I will go with the Jets in that one. Falcons at Saints. This one's big. Both teams need a win. Ultimately, I think the Saints win this one. They took out Tampa Bay pretty good. And with a win at this point, as you can see, they would be the 7th seed. Obviously, there's still a lot of games to simulate. Jags at Tennessee. I was rooting for the Tennessee Titans to help out the Denver Broncos and beat the Jags. But ultimately, Tennessee They're scrappy, but they're not good. Give me Jacksonville. And that win would cement Jacksonville as the 4 seed. If they would have lost, as you can see here, Jacksonville would have been the 7th seed and had to play Miami. Houston would have won the South. So that's still a big game there. Even if the Colts win, the outcome of this game will determine who wins the AFC South. Seahawks at Cardinals. Cardinals, huge win against the Eagles. Huge upset. Eagles might be frauds. Who knows? They're playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks are desperate for a playoff spot. I do think that ultimately the Seahawks win this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals win. The Saints fans are definitely rooting for Cardinals to win this one. Bears at Packers. This game is huge. Packers need this one to get in. Bears are playing good. I honestly think the Bears are going to win. Not even going to lie to you. I think the Bears win and spoil the Packers' playoff hopes. Aaron Rodgers is not there anymore. He doesn't own the Bears. Justin Fields probably playing in his last game as a Bear. A lot to prove. He's been much improved the last couple of weeks. We'll see there. This one's interesting. Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs have won the AFC West again for, the 7th straight year. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they won this one, even though they have their backups in. They're going to go with Blaine Gabbert. But their defense will probably, shut down Easton Stick. The Chargers offense hasn't been good. They only put 9 points against the Denver Broncos team. So I do think the Chiefs will win this one. Doesn't really matter. Broncos at Raiders. Both teams have been eliminated, and this is just a straight-up rivalry game. Neither team likes each other. Broncos haven't beat the Raiders since 2019. This game is in Las Vegas. Jarrett Stidham is the quarterback versus Aiden McConnell. It might be a low-scoring game, honestly. This Raiders team on offense has not been good, and the Broncos offense, frankly, hasn't been good either. So look for Denver to run the ball. Look for Las Vegas to run the ball. It might be a very ground-heavy, old-fashioned low-scoring game, a 14-10 or a 12-7 final. But give me the Broncos. I'm picking them one more time this year. I like them. Broncos winning season, first time since 2016. All right, Eagles at Giants. Giants put up a fight. They almost beat the Rams. A bad throw by Tyrod Taylor, and, they would have won that game. I do think the Eagles win this one. I don't see the Eagles dropping 2 bad losses back-to-back. Rams at 49ers. The Rams are resting Matthew Stafford, and they're going to go with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz still in the league. He'll be playing San Francisco. I think they're going to go with Sam Darnold in that game. So give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. They've beaten San Francisco in the past. They've kind of had their number. So good for the Rams. 10-7 turnaround season. Cowboys at Washington. Doesn't matter who's starting for either team. Cowboys are going to win that game and take the NFC East. And then, matchup of the week. Of course, they put this on Sunday Night Football. Bills at Dolphins. I think the Bills are hungry for a home playoff game, and I think they beat the Dolphins in this one. Although, I'd be surprised. Tyreek Hill, his house just burned down. He might be a little distracted, but he also might be in beast mode. He might be fired up. He might just go off for 200 plus and 2 touchdowns. So we'll see there. Here we go. Here are my picks. I've made my picks. Here is the playoff picture machine as I project it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Should be fun. I do like the Rams at Detroit matchup a lot. I'm really, really going for that one. Miami, Kansas City should be a fun one as well. So we will see what happens ultimately in Week 18. Again, there's games on Saturday and Sunday. Should be fun. Check it out. And as always, remember who you are. Let me know who you're rooting for. If your team's out like me, the Denver Broncos are out, let me know who you're rooting for. I will probably, depending on who gets in, I'll tell you who I'll vote for. I always pick a team from the NFC and a team from the AFC that I like to root for, just to make it fun. Just to make it fun because the Denver Broncos haven't been there in forever. But we will see. And of course, thank you guys for tuning into Fan Talk. This is a podcast by me, Kyle Brenchley, your favorite fan. And as always, I say that once again because I mean it. Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, you know where to find me. I will link my links down below in the description. And let me know if you guys think this new method is good. And moving forward in 2024, if we should keep it up. All right, guys, 25 minutes. I'm out of here. Have a great Thursday, and I will see you guys next week on another edition of Fan Talk.